Throughout the majority of my childhood, I played video games. Quite a lot of them, to be honest. My parents would probably have said too many, but you know, old people are annoying. The main games that I used to play were open world RPGs. You know the type of games, the ones like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, GTA. Now there's been a massive change in the kind of games that I play today from then, and the main reason is just because open world games suck. Now don't get me wrong, I know that this is an incredibly unpopular opinion and sometimes I give in and try it too, but it pretty much always ends with the same result. Like, one of the best gaming experiences I've had this year has been playing through Guardians of the Galaxy. Link to my video on it in the description. But one of the main reasons I enjoyed it was because it was just so linear. There's always an objective, you knew where you stood with it, and it was great. If I think back to one of my favourite RPGs, it's Skyrim. My first ever playthrough was like 140 hours and I didn't even have any DLC, because this was back when it launched on the Xbox 360. Now obviously that isn't a bad thing, and to this day it still is one of my favourite games to ever release. But right now, who has the time? Like, honestly, I've been trying to get through The Witcher 3 for the last 2 years, and I just can't seem to do it. The maps are massive, there's so much exploration for you to do, and you will always end up missing things. I mean, sure, you can just straight up go and do the main quest line, but then you're awfully unprepared for everything that is to come towards you when you get towards the end of the game. These games are designed in a way that makes you have to come off the beaten path. You either need experience and levels to make sure that you're strong enough to fight the incoming threats, or you need some form of equipment to make sure that you don't die and you're strong enough to just do what you need to do. Sometimes there's even weird building areas filled with people that you need to make sure don't hate you, so they are willing to fight by your side. Yes, I'm looking at you, Fallout 4. It's worth it though, right? These games are so full of story, so it makes sense that you've got so much to do. But what about when you can only fit 30 minutes of playing games in a day? Is it still easy then? Because sometimes these quests could take up to a week to complete. That's only a few hours of playtime, and honestly, by the end of the week, when you've been working, doing other things, living your life as an actual adult, sometimes I forget what I was doing there in the first place. If they had added like a last time on section, like back in those old comedy TV shows, I would probably be a little better off. Now obviously, there's a time and a place for these kind of games. I'd probably enjoy them an awful lot more if I had the time to try and play them more consistently. But because that is something I generally struggle with, it's harder for me to actually feel involved. I remember a few years ago when I was working 2 jobs, all I would do when I got in from work was just play Call of Duty. Now this isn't because I love COD, it's just because it's so simplistic that I knew that I could just have a couple of games and be out. I wouldn't have to actively try and think about anything or try to remember who's the guy that stole the sword from the stone. With each passing year, people are making games with bigger and bigger maps. Sometimes it can feel like quantity over quality, and that can be a massive issue. Now I know this isn't true for every single game that comes out with an open world. I get that, completely. But it's still a big enough issue that a lot of the time I'm personally turned off from playing open world games. When it comes to map sizes, it adds another issue. Things like fast travel. We love fast travel. It's so easy to get from one side of the map to the other. But then it also adds in the question, if people are using fast travel more than they're actually travelling, is there really much of a point to create such a large set of scenery just for the sake of someone to completely skip over it all the time? Let's take a glance back to late 2021. Halo Infinite came out. One of the biggest franchises for gaming, most certainly on Xbox. And not only was this game massively delayed, as it was supposed to be the Xbox Series X launch title, because of the fact that the game was absolutely ginormous in comparison to all other Halo games. Like, I assume that quality testing a massive open world is a bit more of a time-intensive task than just checking the maps for story missions, like they would have had to do in all the other previous games. And then there's the filler, the drabble, the endless fetch quests that just fill up your quest log, take your precious time and give you almost nothing in return for them. I mentioned this a little bit in my video ranting about Assassin's Creed, similar processes, link in the description for that one below. The main example I used in this one is running around in Assassin's Creed 2 and collecting all of the feathers just so you could get some slightly cooler looking armour. Or in the new Halo, where you just have to rinse and repeat the same mission of just going and freeing soldiers from enemy bases. You then claim them back as your own just to get access to quite useful fast travel locations and somewhere to just get more equipment from. I'm not saying that they're all bad, obviously, as I'm still playing them, but my god, they're really starting to irritate me. One of these days I will finish The Witcher 3. Trust me when I say that that will happen. I'm making a video about it, I'm even going to throw a party, a cake, guests, even balloons, the whole shebang. What are your opinions on open world games? Is there anything that I've missed? Please let me know down below. Remember to like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new as it really does help me out, and have a good one.